You've seen them, right? All over the place. These super sleek, modern, dark gray houses. And yeah, they look amazing. But there's a hidden story behind that trendy color. A story about heat, energy, and what your home's exterior might be costing you. And, well, the planet.
So let's just ask the question right out of the gate. Is that dream home actually making things hotter? It sounds a little dramatic, I know. But when we pick a color for our house, we're making a choice that has a real impact. It goes way beyond just curb appeal. It affects our energy bills and even the temperature of the whole neighborhood.
And look, I get it. The aesthetic is undeniable. Dark exteriors just feel bold. They feel contemporary. But as we're about to find out, this design trend comes with some pretty serious consequences that you can't see, that go way beyond just looking good.
To really get what's going on here, you don't need a PhD in physics. Honestly, you just need to remember a super simple concept from science class, something you feel every single time you step outside in the summer.
So, let's get right into the science. Because understanding how a simple thing like color plays with the sun's energy, well, that's the key to this whole story.
Think about it like this. You're wearing a t-shirt on a blazing hot sunny day. If you're wearing a white shirt, it reflects the sunlight and you stay cooler. But put on a black shirt, you absorb all that heat and you start to cook. It's the exact same principle for our homes. Light colors bounce heat away. Dark colors soak it up.
And the amount of heat we're talking about here is just staggering. This isn't a tiny temperature difference. A dark surface, like a charcoal gray roof, can absorb and turn 70 to 90% of the sun's energy straight into heat. That's huge.
But here's the twist. Soaking up all that heat isn't always a bad thing. It completely depends on where you live. If you're in a really cold climate, that heat absorption can actually be a feature, not a bug. It can passively warm your house, maybe even lower your heating bills. But if you live in a hot climate, it becomes a massive problem, sending your air conditioning costs right through the roof.
And this effect just multiplies. When you have whole neighborhoods full of dark roofs and dark asphalt, all of them soaking up heat, you create what scientists call an urban heat island. The city itself literally becomes hotter, significantly warmer than the countryside around it.
Okay, so the heat is one major piece of the puzzle, but the impact of that dark gray paint goes even deeper. The actual chemical makeup of the paint itself has these invisible parts with their own big environmental footprint. Yeah, we're talking about something called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs for short. As paint dries, it releases these chemicals into the atmosphere. And here's the key. To get those really deep, dark, rich colors, you often need stronger, more complex chemical pigments. And that can mean higher levels of VOCs getting released into the air.
And this isn't just a paint it and forget it kind of thing. There's a huge release of these compounds when the paint first goes on, for sure, but the off-gassing can actually continue for up to 6 months. And long-term, these chemicals react in the air to help form smog and ground-level ozone, which can cause respiratory problems and other health issues.
All right, that was a lot of the problem. But the good news is, there are fantastic solutions out there. We're not stuck. So let's talk about the smarter, greener materials that are totally changing the game.
So, where do we even start? Let's look up. To the roof. Why the roof? Because in a typical city, roofs make up a massive 20 to 25% of all the surfaces. That makes them one of the most powerful places to make a change.
And the difference is just wild. Look at this. Switching to what's called a cool roof, which is designed to reflect sunlight, is dramatic. On a hot day, a standard dark roof can get up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. A cool roof, under the exact same sun, can be over 50 degrees cooler. That is an incredible difference.
And the solutions are actually pretty practical. You can choose those reflective cool roof materials. You could install a green roof with actual plants on it that cools the air. Or you can even just plant more trees around your house for shade. Every single one of these steps makes a real, measurable difference.
And you know what the best part is? This doesn't mean you have to give up on that cool, dark, modern look. Not at all. Imagine the rich texture of reclaimed wood, or the clean lines of travertine stone. You can pair these sustainable materials with a dark design and end up with something beautiful that's also way more eco-friendly.
So when you put it all together, the science, the problems, the solutions, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's that there's no single right answer for everyone. The smartest, best design is one that works with its environment, not against it.
Really, it all boils down to this one challenge: finding the sweet spot between how something looks and how it performs. The point isn't to say dark houses are bad. It's about giving everyone, architects, builders, homeowners, the knowledge to find that perfect balance.
to create something gorgeous that's also smart for its specific location. At the end of the day, just knowing this stuff empowers us to make better decisions. It proves you don't have to pick one or the other. You don't have to choose between a home that looks incredible and one that's sustainable. Your home can, and really should, be both.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As our climate keeps changing and our weather gets more extreme, how is our whole idea of a dream home going to have to evolve to meet the challenges of the future?